Oh, we're back. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Headache, the sequel.
Yes.
This time it's personal.
Yeah.
Or whatever part two sequels are supposed to be. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to another edition of Fandom Initiative. I am Cinema CEO, one half of a superstar tag team in its own right on this show. besides my other tag team, which would be my wife Mina from our other venture together.
It's in my head, brother. That's why it's nice. Every week I'm like, I got to keep adding accolades. They keep doing stuff.
Yes, one half of the AMC A-listers. But I'm here with my co-host, Antonio Pomerez, a.k.a. The Hungry Bleak. Welcome, brother. Welcome again.
Bienvenue, everyone. Bienvenue. For our international watchers.
Yes, exactly. Bienvenue. Exactly. I'm really excited about doing this show because this is a show that has been a while in the making, and I actually have a colleague, a friend, and someone who I value as very important to me on this show. She works at Marvel, and she is the director of new media at Marvel. And let's just bring her out, brother. Why not? Her name is Liza Wyles.
Hello.
Hello, Liza.
Nice How are you? You here? I'm good.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is going to be a really good show because we're going to talk about, obviously, all things Marvel.
What I'm allowed to say, sure.
Yes, what she's allowed to say, yes. So please don't try to pressure her into any spoilers for anything upcoming because it's not happening.
Well, I feel attacked, so never mind. Whatever.
We don't want the black suits to come not only to my house but to her house too. And maybe to Antonio's house too.
I know nothing that isn't known to in the wide world. So keep things pretty tight. Tight in there.
Exactly.
I'm in a remote, unclosed location, and I'm wearing a tinfoil tank top, so no one will find me ever.
Oh my god. So where do we start here? Let's talk about the most recent stuff that's happened in Marvel.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. Has everyone seen the latest episode or no?
Yes.
Okay. What did you guys think of yesterday's episode?
Well, Liza, I would have you go first.
Start with Liza.
Oh, okay. Well, first, let me just answer this as a person who watches the show, not someone who watches it from inside the house, right? So, like most everybody watching it on Disney Plus, I truly keep myself out of the realm of knowledge. I mean, I could know the story beats for the episode, but I choose not to. Which has made it really pleasurable to be honest. I liked this episode more than I have the last two. Right. Okay. This one felt on par to me with episode 2, which is when Isaiah Bradley was introduced. I think that just maybe that's a character. That's it for me. That makes this show something special. Bringing his story into it is like just takes it to a level that I get really intrigued by. So this episode, it was long. It was, I think they could have trimmed a little bit. But I was really glad we got back home and got back in with him. And I missed that part of it. I felt the last couple of episodes, it felt like a different show, honestly.
As far as like pacing or as far as story wise, it felt different?
Yeah, as far as like what
excuse me.
Bucky and Sam were just preoccupied with. It's like we set them up in the beginning.
Okay.
We cared about them. and their real lives, and then they're off and running like in superhero mode, and we don't hear anything about all this intel they just got, from their personal lives, about Isaiah Bradley and all that, and then we finally get back into it in this last episode 5. So that's where I stand on that.
Okay.
I like it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It felt kind of like, how in the Avengers movies, especially like the last two, it felt almost like the Russos.
Yes.
First off, because they always give you like the location of where they're at, which I actually like. I don't know why, I just like that because I think it mirrors the comics when it tells like where they're at.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they were giving you like different parts of, like, we're here to do this, because they had to give a little bit more of Barnes and what he's going through. So I get that part where they had to kind of go there, and with the Dora Milaje, more Dora Milaje, please. I don't care if it's just them putting butter on toast in the morning and just making coffee. I don't care. I don't care.
I agree.
Because awesome. I mean, oh my God. But I kind of didn't mind the diversion because I knew they had to go somewhere else to develop more of a story. But I did want to get back home to what was happening, especially with the Bradleys, and Bradleys too. Give me 24-hour Dora Milaje, just whatever. I don't care what it is. They could be doing taxes. I don't care. And the Bradleys. I love the story of Truth. Is just one of those stories that hits so hard and so deep, and it felt like it hit even harder in these 2 episodes. In episode, what is it, 2 that Isaiah's in also?
Yeah,
the 2. It just hit so much harder than the comic, and I think it's because of it's actually being said and acting. You can see the emotion in the face and such like that. Carl Lumley, yes.
Yeah.
Now this man, when he walks in when the minute I saw him, I said, I trust whatever you're going to do. You would have him just throwing like, dartboards at a wall. I'm good. Yes. Because he always delivers.
That's true.
Yeah. This episode hit a lot, went deeper than I thought it was going to. There's the story, which is great. Then there were layers, everything. There were so many layers. Nice seeing someone train with the shield, where Steve just would throw the shield and it come because that was Steve. Steve has a magnetic personality, so the shield just came back to him magnetically. Great. I love seeing Sam train with the shield and not getting it right. But there's another subtext layer of that where it's Steve and John. They had privilege behind them. And you can see the layers of privilege however you want, whether it's the super soldier serum or them being white males. And Sam had to train 3 times as hard. And he was out there busting it, killing it, doing acrobatics, everything like that. And I want to say that he was encompassing some Wakandan martial arts, I want to say, in there. I don't know for sure, but I want to say that. So you see him busting it and killing it, and without the super soldier serum, and he's working 3 times harder, even though Isaiah Bradley just told him any self-respecting black man would not wear that shield. He gave him a reason not to wear the shield, but then gave him a reason to wear the shield. And to wield it. And then just Bucky flirting with the sister. Man, stay away from her, bro. Just don't.
That was so unnecessary. Like,
I did not want to see
like, you have to get into it just because? Why?
I did not see that. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, do not flirt with my sister, bro. No, you don't flirt with our sister. No. All of a sudden now I am part of the family. I love seeing the home demographic grounded. They say that super soldier serum amplifies who you are. So with Steve, it amplifies obviously who he was. With John, it amplifies it. Amplified his fragility, everything. You're super strong, but now you're fragile. With Isaiah, it amplified who he was as a person. And for that, they couldn't figure out, why is it working for you? Why is it not working for anyone else? Why is it working for you? Why are you so special? So it wasn't because, maybe you're a good person. It's because, okay, we have to experiment on you. Because we have to find out why you as a black man can use this and we can't with anyone else. They went deep with a lot of stuff.
I hope they pull more out of that, Antonio, what you're talking about, because I feel like for people who are really invested in the show and the characters of the show and are open to new ideas through these characters, we're picking up on that. But I feel like in general, do you think that audiences get it? Do you think that it's like a strong enough through line for the fact that, like, that very direct correlation you just made, like super serum is an enhancement of your true self, and truth, it was the name of the episode, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like truth serum, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
if you want,
yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but my concern is that that's the deep stuff that I love that they're exploring in this series. But do you guys think like that feels meaty enough that most of the audience is going to get it? I just hope that they do, but I also hope that they even kind of drill down more into it and kind of close that loop on like, yes, that is the reason, in this final episode, to kind of just make it clear, at least, like, not open to interpretation. But that's my wish. I don't know if I'll get it though.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I think.
No, I'll be honest with you. No.
Yeah, I don't think all of their intended audience will get it. I think that there are certain segments of the audience that will resonate with more than others, which is probably true of just about anything that they put out at this point, right? Like, I mean, this episode, not that I didn't like episode 2. I did like episode 2, but this episode again just kind of highlights all the things that I like about this particular series, right? Like, it's that you're delving deep into this, uncharted history that some people who are fans of Captain America may not know or may not have cared to pay attention to with Isaiah Bradley, right? And then you have, and I mentioned this in a previous show that we did where we started talking about a Falcon and Winter Soldier, is that one of the things that I really like about just the whole way that the show was kind of structured and the premise of it is that Sam and Bucky don't necessarily have to like each other to kind of work together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there is this kind of through line of respect between the two of them, but Sam may not be all that fond of Bucky, and Bucky may not be all that fond of Sam, and that's okay, because in some ways that's kind of how life works.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't all have to have played in the same sandlot together and been lifelong friends to kind of get things done, right? Like, their job primarily right now is to be what they are. Like, even though Bucky has had a sordid past, he is trying to avenge all those wrongs and fix all those wrongs that he's done, right? And Sam is also, to a certain extent, trying to avenge wrongs, maybe different wrongs, along with him. So I almost feel like that and the Isaiah Bradley part of the story are the strongest parts of the story. Like, I understand that the Flag Smasher stuff has to be there, but I almost feel like that's not fully developed, if that makes any sense.
It feels like it's there, to me anyway, primarily to link it to the bigger story and connect it to the blip, and make sure we have a hook that is carrying the thread of the Infinity Saga into this present day, I guess. But yeah, I agree with you that it feels like just a adventure story that we are doing alongside the meat and potatoes of the characters.
Yeah.
Because the story about the Flag Smashers, like, they don't really do anything to forward or bring out character in the two main heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess you could say it does serve John Walker's character to, otherwise he wouldn't have a place to be, right?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and in particular, talking about the John Walker thing, I completely blanking on the name of the actor right now.
Wyatt
Russell.
Wyatt Russell, yes. I like what Wyatt Russell is kind of doing with it, and I mentioned this the other day in another show that we did, actually last week's show, where I said I had brought up the fun fact that he had originally auditioned to be Captain America for the first Avenger. It almost feels like he's taking all of that disappointment for not being chosen for that movie and funneling it into John Walker, and he's just been kind of a surprise to me because I've never seen him in anything else before this that I remember.
Yeah, I didn't watch Lodge 49, which
is
his vehicle. Yeah,
and
he was in Overlord.
I haven't seen Overlord.
Oh, I thought you saw that. Oh, okay. No, watch that. It's just crazy good fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. It's just a smash fest. That's all it is. Like, don't look in it for a deeper story. Just look at it. Just fun, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, but I just love everything that he's doing with it. Like, he really, if his intention is for you to wind up really hating this dude, he's doing a really fine job at doing so. So
he's almost doing too good of a job.
Exactly. And besides the fact that it's kind of cool that you've had a father-son duo take part in the MCU, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Now with the Flag Smashers, you say like it is meant to be that adventure part, but do you think, I'm trying to remember their new leader's name? I can't remember her name.
Carly.
Yes.
Carly.
Do you think that she is going to have a bigger role and possibly wield a shield at some point?
Oh.
Because they're in the multiverse. There are like young female shield wielders. Because they haven't done, if you look at it, they haven't really done anything quote unquote wrong.
Right.
So they're almost like the Skrulls in Captain Marvel, where you thought, the Skrulls are the evil ones, but then you turn out, oh no, they're just trying to find a home.
Yeah.
They're the same thing with the Flag Smashers. They're just the world during the blip. The world was kind of like, we need to embrace everyone. Then when everybody came back, they were like, no. You go to your corner. You go to your corner.
Yeah, I see their purpose is clear, and they're not. I agree with you, Antonio. Like, they're not wrong. Their intent is pure and for the good of the people. Clearly, I mean, anytime you show them like tutoring small children with stuffed animals, it's like signaling to me like, oh, they have a heart.
Yeah.
I guess. I like how you're thinking though, in terms of, do they cross over into a superhero status, in some way. That's a really interesting thought. I'd like to think she has a meteor future. Clearly they saw something in her when she showed up in Solo. I immediately recognized her from that last scene. I was like, hey, that's her. Hey, that's the Solo person. So I think there's something cooking. Maybe be hopeful.
Amina brought up an interesting comment that I'm gonna share. She says that Falcon and Winter Soldier has made me wonder what's happening in the writers' room. Storylines with social lens is important, but it can go wrong quickly if it's only written as just a surface material.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. I don't know that I want to fault Marvel for, being progressive, right? Like, that's kind of what they're background has been since the beginning. They've tried to be this progressive company where it's been like, we want to reflect the world outside your window, right?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, and I agree with what Mina says there, is that it almost feels like when they try to address those things in story form, sometimes it almost feels like that part of it becomes so compressed.
Yes.
It's almost unrecognizable amongst the other things that are going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like the balance, I guess maybe that's kind of underneath the surface of what we're talking about. There seems to be an imbalance between, because we're really able to segment these episodes, right? Episodes 2 and 5 feel very outside of 3 and 4. And why is that? God, though, think about how hard it is.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And I mean, I also think that whether this is true or not, which part of me thinks it is, I think part of the delay on the show was that, and I don't know how true this part of it is, but I felt like that the prior storyline for the show was something about a virus, from what I understand. And I think they went back and they changed it due to the fact of, present situation. So how much of it was just them trying to, let me pull this out, expand this a little bit as much as we can, and then do this like 180-degree pullback from what the story originally would have been. You know what I mean? It's hard to say.
Well, 2 points with that is, if that was their thing, and that's kind of a generic thing, where they have to stop a virus from being, we've seen that in how many action movies and series.
Yeah.
So being innovators in storytelling, that Marvel is becoming more and more, especially with these series, because we're able to get more in depth. This was the best way to go, because you are giving a different story, a different take, and you're tying up some threads and also making new ones and continuing things. The second point is that they're trying to serve two masters. They're trying to serve, we need to tell a different story and such like that, but we also need to stay as faithful to the lore and of these other comics and such that we can. So how do we do that? So that is a difficult balancing act to try to do. Compressing that story and shifting things, it can be difficult to do. Honestly, it can, but I feel like with 2 and 5, because they are honestly my favorite episodes, aside from the Dora Milaje 2-episode miniseries, which is what I'm calling it now, and I don't care. These two are, and it's probably because I'm biased because of the Bradleys. I wasn't expecting them there, and seeing Isaiah and Elijah, I was like, oh, you took me away from that. So you're hitting this stride. And I mean, Wyatt Russell is doing a fantastic job. He is showing, again, you're seeing how more and more the super serum is amplifying it, because you saw him at the at the podium, like, I don't get, and he just walked off. The dude still talking, he was like, whatever, you can't do anything more to me, whatever. And his wife is just sitting there like, and I wanted to know. And they also did something as well, because they want you to feel sympathy for him, because they surrounded him with Black people. Look at his best friend, Lamar Battlestar, his wife. And he even looked dead in their faces and lied, saying, no, I got the man that killed. No. And it wasn't, it was that girl that killed him. So even that little thing, I'm like, we're only getting 6 episodes. I need like 5 more for this story. You guys. And trusting Marvel and trusting the storytelling that has been in the MCU and on the Disney Plus series, that with this 6th episode, you are going to get hit in the face with a lot. And at the end, you're going to feel satisfied, but there's going to be a little something there that's going to be like, so what's next?
Always, though. Isn't that the way?
So we, like, when you hear 6 episodes, you're like, but WandaVision was different storytelling, different format, different everything. The only thing that they have in common is they're in the MCU and they're both on Disney Plus. So you hear 6 and you're like, okay, then you get to the 5th episode, you're like, wait, how are you going to do it? So
Right.
you trust that Marvel has built up this really big foundation of trust where we're like, okay, cool, you got a talking tree and a raccoon? I've never heard of these characters. Okay, I'm here for it. Go ahead, run it. We trusted them and we sat there and was like, yeah, this is great. So I'm excited for the 6th episode. I'll probably rewatch the series because I'm sure there are a lot of things that I missed, but the beats that they're hitting.
That's what I love about them being on streaming is that at some point when there's time, whatever that is, you can go back and kind of watch, after we collect a few more, right? Loki and then Ms. Marvel in the fall, because she's very closely connected with the Avengers. I'm leaving out Hawkeye in there for the moment, but
it's never a coincidence.
But it's going to be so awesome to kind of just like eat the meals again in a way that they're going to taste a little bit different because you have these other flavors that you can combine them with because and
absolutely.
I love that part about it, but then also kind of the film fan in me wonders like, oh, this is getting so big, so wieldy. Like, how are they going to hold this whole universe as it grows? And is it going to just suck up all the air from, in how they would possibly ever bring new characters to life or examine why should this be a movie, but this is series? I'm a little nervous, like to be honest, just from a consumer standpoint of like how massive we're getting. How do we? This has never happened before. There's never been this thing that kind of takes over film storytelling and TV storytelling in this magnitude. What's gonna happen? Like I don't know, like, from the story, from like the characters. I mean, like. For us, like, how are we going to feel about it over the next 3 years?
Right.
I think the oversaturation, possibly.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I have talked about this because I like self-contained. Like even with the comics, I prefer. Like I read the recent Falcon and Winter Soldier 6-issue series.
Yeah,
I like little miniseries. I like things that are self-contained. But yeah, I start wondering. But I think it was great to have the Infinity Saga, and now we're done with it. So it's kind of like how a comic is, where we're done with the storyline. We might come back to it maybe 10 years later. Cross our fingers that the MCU is still around 10 years later. But I mean, they've been around this long.
Yeah.
I hope they don't oversaturate it because then when it's too much, it's too much. But I think we're almost at the membrane right now. We're kind of pushing it. But I think, and again, this is never, I'm not saying that COVID was good, obviously, because of the ramifications and things that happened. But I think we needed a break from the MCU for that time. I mean, it's great having a movie, but it felt like a movie was coming out every week. And I'm like, I got to go to a movie again.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't that kind of the murmurings around Star Wars and how people are feeling like it's too much too soon?
Yeah, there's a lot there. So, but I'm actually enjoying the series more than the movies because I'm getting characters that I want to see, that I want to know about, that are kind of background characters to the holy trinity of Thor, Cap, and Hulk sometimes, but whatever. But those characters and Iron Man, excuse me. But so I'm seeing these characters and you're getting more in depth because we would never have gotten this story if there were just movies. We would never have gotten seeing Bucky freed and crying. That we saw him be human. He wasn't just a weapon. He actually, because when you see him back in Infinity War, first thing he says, "Where's the fight?" Like a weapon. They don't, oh, so how you doing? How you feeling? You good? You good? I sent over a plate the other day. Was it good? Was it good? Was the seasoning right? Was it good? Like, how's your back? I know you were saying your back. They don't ask. They brought him an arm and said, where's the fight?
Yeah.
So to see him humanized and to see Sam in this way, also, Oh, also him thinking that he had privilege because he was an Avenger. He's like, well, I'm, you know who I am? And he goes, oh, yeah, you're Falcon. Great. Yeah. Still can't give it a loan, though. But can I have a selfie? Are you serious? Really? So even that little, so you wouldn't have gotten that. So I like the series because you're getting more and I'm getting them every week.
Yeah.
I can sit right at home and chill and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to Antonio's point on that, I think, well, at least this is how I felt when Marvel had kind of announced that this is where they were going to next. Like they were going to start moving into streaming, and Disney Plus was the perfect platform for them to kind of do these things, because there's this kind of built-in take a breath and process what you've just seen type thing with this, right? When you do the one episode every week model versus the go to the multiplex, see the big 2.5 hour big budget movie that really is kind of it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's like the entree, right? It's the entree. It's the big meal that kind of focuses on the big things that you've been waiting for since the last movie, right? You don't get this, you don't get this kind of piecemeal thing in between prior in the old model where you get a chance to kind of see another part of the story that's going on and process it to make that entree movie that you go see 2.5 years from now even more palatable than it is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know
it
what
does,
I mean?
because I'm hungry. So yes, that totally works.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, and this is why I kind of was really, really excited when they announced that this is what they were going to do, because it just seemed like a natural extension of what Marvel is trying to do, right? Trying to tell these complex stories and get fans on board, but not just fans, people who aren't really, initiated in what we do or what they've been reading or whatever. So, and it's also one of the things that I hammer, our competitor on, on that they don't do enough of that.
Yeah, and create more entry points. Yeah. There's someone I work with who's worked in Marvel for a while, started on the comic book side, and he always says, you never know when something's going to be someone's first comic. Like you don't know which one it's going to be, but it could be any one of them as a portal to enter into the world. So I think Marvel has just like this tremendous task of needing to hit all the different audiences that see something in the brand, in the world that they want to latch onto. But you're just not going to please everybody with everything all the time. And I think they're making interesting choices about where they focus the story and the characters throughout all the titles. And I have to think, and I honestly don't know, but I have to think that there's a reason why they would kind of announce many things all in one sitting, which is to say, we don't expect everybody to love every single thing, but you're going to find something for you, especially with the series. I think the movies, they want everybody there. And I think the movies, like they have trained us all to expect something very specific from the movies. But with the TV series, they're saying we have alternate ways of telling these stories and ways of showcasing these characters and ways of hitting home for you that complement the blockbuster that we're going to put in theaters.
It's similar. Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, it's also one of those. It's also the reason why, and Amina says this all the time when she's watching these things. She says that that Marvel does a really good job of appealing to a broad audience with these things, right? Like yes, they do the fan service things very well to people who really do know a lot about what's going on, but they also kind of, not even kind of, they do this thing where it's, yes, it's fan service, but it's also like this beautiful invitation to people who don't know anything about what's going on, and bring them in too. Like, that's why I like watching these things with her a lot, because in some ways it kind of helps me temper my expectations sometimes, right? Like, I know that my expectations sometimes of these things can be wildly out of control. Like, things that I would expect to happen and what I want to see. And at the same time, watching it through her eyes, it's just fun. It's like, it's fun. It's almost like I'm watching it again or reading it again for the first time, just through a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
And she feels like she's hampering my enjoyment of it when she says that she thinks that I need to explain everything at the end of it, or things that she doesn't understand. And I don't mind kind of telling her, because I kind of tell her from the perspective of what would be our perspective, right? Like mine's, Antonio's, yours, like what the history is and how it really happened in the text or something like that, so that she kind of understands why I jump up and down if I see Thanos at the end of Avengers, or something like that. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know. Like, I say this all the time, and sometimes I say it silently. I don't say it out loud. Like, I never thought we would ever get to a point like this in cinema or even in television, where these projects would be tackled the way that they've been tackled. Like, and not even just kind of like, here we did it, we don't care the quality on it. It's like they've gone the extra mile to make it even better than we thought it could be, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, not to shift out of Marvel gear, but I can't help but think of just Mandalorian, right? And how the service has really, like Disney Plus, it feels like the right place for that show, the right time for that show, and we got the audience for that show, and then that show still feels like it's in the world of Star Wars, but it's also true to just the spirit of Lucasfilm and how that company has always been technological innovators, and creating how they film the show with the void, and it's just, or not the void. What's the word for it? I don't even know. It's the space that they create so that they're actually filming with all the backplates and backgrounds in real time, and camera angles and all that stuff. So like that show to me really exemplifies not just hey, more Star Wars stuff, but like Star Wars stuff true to the DNA of Lucasfilm, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we've only had basically that one show as an example, and we're getting more for that brand. But Marvel, like they had to really know they could do it. They had to really plan out all these ideas in series form, and I can't help but think like that must have really taken a lot of late nights and deep thoughts to understand how to build a world that connects before you even start putting pen to paper. And to your point, Mike, like never been done before. Is like the way they thought about making the shows is like translates into the actual stories that they're telling in the shows. I think like they're just taking that same innovation that they're applying to the world of Disney Plus and ingraining it into how they're building their writers' rooms and their collection of their guest stars that are popping up. We have to talk about Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes.
She was a pleasant surprise for me.
Yep. So let's jump into that then. Let's talk about the $1 million cameo in the room in that episode.
Who's her character? I don't know her.
I don't really know her character either. Do you know it at all, Antonio? Or
no, I was just impressed that she was there. I'll be honest with you. Seinfeld, yeah. But Veep, give me Veep all day.
Yes.
Give me Veep all day. Okay. So when I saw her and she just has that way of channeling it, and I was looking at her, I was like, I'm not sure who you are. At first, I thought she was a character from Sword, but I believe I'm wrong on that. Possibly. I didn't even, because I was just so into the episode and such, I didn't even go and look her up on Wikipedia, which I'm kind of slyly trying to do right now, but it's not going to work. Because I got to look at my damn phone.
I did try to look her up yesterday, like in some write-up, and I think she's associated with S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow, or at least that's a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Valentina. Something.
Yeah.
She had a long name, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know it. I was like, I just don't care. I'm just happy that she's here. I don't know what she's doing here, but thank you.
That was my reaction when it was over. I turned and looked at Amina. I was like,
what?
I can't believe they got Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm like, how did they get these people to buy into this? It's like, this is insane.
Right.
because everyone trusts the MCU now. Like they trust. There was a time when you would just see like one-offs or like what have you, but it's become an institution now. It's become this trust factor, and it has, had in these big stars, but it's also created big stars. Because look at what you see people doing after this. They are pushed out. They come and they do this great job, and we love them for however long they're in these movies, and then when they go out and they're pushed onto even bigger projects, such like this has not just been a way to sustain, but also a way to catapult new talent. So there are a lot of moving parts from, this person's only been in like 2 movies, but we really dig it. Let's put them in here. We have a history with this person. We know what they can do. Let's put them in this role, this here. It's obviously deliberate. And when you see, when Julia pops up, you're like, okay, bet. Because she can do drama and be funny and be sinister. And she gave you all 3 in just a matter of a few minutes?
Yeah.
And she hands him card and, oh, here's my card. And he's like, there's nothing on the card. And I was like, I bet there's nothing on that damn card, because that is a Julia Louis-Dreyfus thing that you would put into her role. Yeah. There's 2 things that you're going to do. And, the best things you're going to do. And the other one is you're going to answer my call. And I'm like, wait, if he's going to answer a call, why are you giving him a card?
Yeah.
And and I was like, and he's like, there's nothing on the card. And I was like, So people trust them, and big actors trust.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's either going to sustain you, bring you back into relevancy, or it's going to catapult you into something even bigger.
Yeah.
I have listened to a few people talk though about this argument, just to play devil's advocate about it, in terms of grabbing these actors and then just monopolizing their career with all these appearances, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., and in particular, those 2. And I thought that was an interesting perspective, because there is such a hearty time commitment, and not just with the production of it, but with the, marketing press tours and all that jazz they have to do to show up to promote the movie and internationally and all of it. And I thought, I do wonder, like, did it stop? Did Mark Ruffalo be like, I can't do your very important Oscar-winning movie because I got to be the Hulk for a minute? Like, I value that statement, but he could always say no. Like, I don't think anyone was negatively locked into something that they didn't feel was valuable to them. They created this legacy of a character that lives forever. It's very cool to be able to do that, and then go off and still have, a good 40 more years if they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was an interesting perspective. I don't know. It made me think for a second about it.
Yeah.
Because it makes you think too about season 2, right? Is there going to be season 2 of this one?
I mean, this guy's already said he's on board if there is a season 2. So we'll see. We'll see if this is just kind of like a temporary thing that Marvel just wanted to do, or do they want to continue these stories and then introduce more stories, or are they just kind of using it as a model between big theatrical movies to kind of introduce the storyline that they want to focus on, and then the next time they introduce more characters? Like, I don't know.
Well, I like the idea off of Antonio's statement about, the short encapsulated run, and that these are basically the TV versions of that, the 6 issues that we get for a capsule of a story. And I'd be fine if that was their approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I think it should be, because Marvel, again, they have taken the best of how they really, their thing, they started, it's comics. That's the basis of this, are the comics, and how the comics are structured. We have single issues, we have trades, we have miniseries, we have that. That's how they've structured the MCU, which is the best way to do it. We have these big events. We have your Infinity Gauntlet. We have Secret Invasion. We have Secret War, stuff like that. Those big events, and then we have these miniseries, 6-issue. Holy cow! 6-issue miniseries, 6-issue Disney Plus series. I see what you did there, Marvel. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well played, Mouse. Well played.
Yeah.
And to do something like that, so they've structured it perfectly, because that's how we take in the comics. So they've made the movie similar to. They've started to. It didn't start out that way, but they're restructuring. They're refining. Okay, this is how we do this. It's easier, and they do make it easy, an entry point, because as your friend and coworker said, you don't know where someone's first comic is going to be. Because when I was a kid, and I would go to the supermarket and get comics, it was never issue 1. It was always issue 57. I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. Yeah. First off, I'm 7. Secondly, I don't know what any of these things are. But it made me love a Spider-Man, a Batman, what have you. Yeah. So they know the structure. They've done this, and they give you the backgrounds eventually, or enough of it, where you can go on Disney Plus and you can watch the movies in cinematic order, or you can watch them in chronological order. And then if you want the tie-in issues, which they also have with big events, you can watch these series, or you can watch even like behind the scenes stuff assembled, and you can watch Legends, which also links to the figures that they have. They've linked everything together wonderfully, not just to the product on the screen, but the product in our hands or on our phones, and even the products that we might find in a store, stuff like that. So it all links together in some way, whether it's the figures that are made after, this line of Legends figures is after Captain Marvel movie or Civil War, stuff like that, or after WandaVision. They've done it perfectly, and that's how they're going to do it. As far as contracts, I don't know how that's going to go. I think when everything first started, they're like, we need you for this amount of, and they're like, okay, I think there may be a little more leeway now because of everything that's going on, and you know what I mean? Maybe there is more, because I know Mark Ruffalo, he recently did a series for HBO where he played twins. I can't remember the name of it. I heard it was great. I don't know what the filming was or what the timing was. I don't know, but maybe there's a little more leeway where, I need to do this, but I also have to do this as well. But that's something that's been going on. Scheduling difficulties, that stuff are such, it's been going forever, but they do lock them in for, 10 movies over 100 years, sign it. You're like, wait, I'm not going to live for 100 years.
Right. And that's why they film things back to back, and, so they're all kind of get them at once. But I think it also speaks to the larger nature of TV right now, where we're getting shorter seasons, one-off seasons. It's how the European model has always really operated. We always made fun of it, you only have 6 episodes, but it works so well.
Right.
You can be done, and then move on to the next thing, and then start a new cast at their year 1 salary, because by the time they get to their year 3 or 4 salary, those are high, and it's just more economical to kind of clean the slate and start over, and I think that'll be real interesting. For me, I see Ms. Marvel as the first TV show in the Marvel universe to present a new character to most people. She exists, and you know her from the video game and obviously from comics, but you don't know her from a movie. So I think that'll be a very. I'm optimistic because I think it hits such a sweet spot for that story. It's a young person. It's a fangirl. She loves the Avengers. Like, it's tied, but you don't know her like you know Falcon and Winter Soldier and Wanda and Vision, and even though they were secondary characters, you knew them, right? You already. So I think it'll be real interesting to see how that does later this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of anything, out of everything that you can talk about, as far as new projects that are coming up, again, that you can talk about, is Miss Marvel the one that you're most excited about?
It's hard because I am really excited about that. I have a daughter. I have a son also, but she's 13, and there aren't I don't find a lot of great entertainment for young women and teenagers in general. It's hard to find. So I'm kind of being real hopeful that this is good. And for some like co-viewing, family watching. And I love Kate Bishop. I love her character. So I'm very excited about Hawkeye also. And because it takes place in New York too, I think, or they shot there at least. So I always love seeing my hometown on screen. But, and I know this is being really unfair because I'm naming 3 things, but
that's fine.
I can't help but like be tickled about this whole Loki thing because it just looks crazy. And he's just so charming in that role. And Owen Wilson, like, what you're going to get with him. And I'm excited to see that. And it looks like they're really putting it out there. So there's tenets of like, I don't know if you guys watch Legion at all, but just kind of that kookiness within Legion, I'm kind of detecting in Loki a little bit. So, and that appeals to me. So those three are really leaping out as what I'm excited to see as far as what I'll be honest, like when everything was announced, those were the 3 I was really gravitating towards more so than WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
What about you?
I'll be honest with you. Ms. Marvel, then Loki, then Hawkeye. Just because Ms. Marvel is after playing the Marvel Avengers game.
Yeah.
Her personality is so infectious, and and I was like, well, I really want to play as Cap because Cap is a brawler. He throws the shield. Like, that's who I want to play as. And Thor is fun too. Throwing a hand, what have you. I wish that actually Captain Marvel was in there because I love playing as Captain Marvel in games as well. But her so infectious, so wonderful, and she's so bubbly. And knowing that she is a young girl from Jersey City who is Muslim, seeing that we haven't had that type of mix as far as a lead in any type of comic book movie ever. We don't even have a lot of the characters that fit that dynamic, have that cross. Right. So yeah, I want to see how what they bring her in as. Is she going to be a miracle? Is she going to be an Inhuman? Are we going to do anything else with that because of what happened with the other series? Like, how is that going to roll out? And the family dynamic there as well. And because there are going to be a lot of people, young girls, women in their 20s, older women who love this character. And I love seeing that, their exuberance and their excitement of seeing a character that they can identify with, someone that I went through that when I was that age. So that excites me as well. Yeah. Loki, he's a rogue. He's like this charming rogue. Of course I want to see that guy. Yeah. It makes me want to go and read the comics. So before the series comes out, I'm going to read those 2 trades because I want to see how it was. Because I saw the image and I was like, oh, that's from that cover. That's from that. I haven't read them. I'm like, now I got to read them. And Hawkeye, just because I love the color purple and I love an archer, just somebody who's no powers, and just a guy. I think if I was going to be anybody on the Avengers, I'd be like Black Panther, but with Barton's like mindset. It's like, do you want me to take the shot? 'Cause I'm starting to root for this guy. Seriously. like, do you want me to take him down? And I love it because I'm looking at like, this guy's kind of, and the fact that he's the guy who's on the outside looking in. It's just very interesting to me. But Ms. Marvel definitely, and I want to see those embiggening powers. I want to see that. I honestly do. Just cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm excited to see all three of them, but definitely Miss Marvel because I'm more familiar with Miss Marvel from the Marvel Rising shorts and Marvel Rising cartoons that I've had to view at work. So and those are really good. They're really good. So
they're awesome. Yeah,
I'm really interested in seeing how that will play up and play well in live action. You know what I mean? And probably I definitely want to see the Loki series for sure because who doesn't want to see Tom Hiddleston run around and be charming and mischievous every hour? But I think the other one that I'm really excited about is the Hawkeye series, and that's because they got Haley Steinfeld to play Kate Bishop, and I really like Haley Steinfeld. The two movies that stand out for me in her career so far have been True Grit, which she was amazing in True Grit, and that Bumblebee Transformers movie that she did, which I don't know how many people have seen that movie, but that was probably one of the best Transformers movies that have ever been made.
I did see it. Because my hero Pamela Adlon is in that one. I love me some Pamela Adlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot I saw that movie. Yeah, I go back, I guess. Yeah, I love that they're gonna probably dig into the dynamic between the two of them, between Clint and Kate, because she doesn't really like him as a person, but she hates him. So I kind of love that.
Yeah. Okay. So WandaVision. Let's talk briefly about WandaVision. Were you a fan of WandaVision at all, Liza, or no?
Like that was 10 years ago. WandaVision came into our lives.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it. I think this is something that's out in the world already, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about it, but I think originally they were supposed to release the first 3 episodes all as a dump. The first, on premiere, which would have made more sense because those 3 episodes are all time period episodes, and then after that point, we kind of glide into a different version of the story we're telling. So I think it would have worked better if we were able to do that. Overall, I liked the general concept, right? That grief is like, hey guys, we're superheroes and we saved the world, but we lost stuff in the process, and this is taking a moment to recognize the pain of that. And you never saw that right before. You never really. I mean, you get moments of sadness when somebody died, like Tony, at that end game. But this really said, like, no, this is something she is living with, and this is what it's like to live with it. And I thought just conceptually that was awesome and interesting. But what didn't work for me as well was the last episode where it was just a lot of like laser witch power happening, and like, okay, somebody win because you're both doing the same thing. I don't know what's going on. And then the actual homages to the sitcoms of the time periods, I thought they were okay, but I would have loved it if they were like truly funny, like very much like working hard to be actual entertainment as a parody of those things, like, and not just in like, hey, we're doing something like this to make you giggle, that it's like Dick Van Dyke Show, but like really just better. I hate saying that, but I wished it delivered on the same level of comedy that the original shows that they were parodying did.
Right.
So those are like my two things bookending the series that I feel like missed the mark for me. But generally, I just feel like, wow, what an idea, what an execution of that idea, and it sets you up for where the MCU is going to go with that one. So
yeah, for sure, definitely.
I like that about it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I liked it for the most part. I thought that the first two episodes were probably the worst in the series. If there is a worst, and I'm doing air quotes for people who are going to listen to this at a later date. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a brave way to do that show, and for the most part, it succeeded for me. And I also think, and I've been saying this for a while, that Marvel's been playing coy with how powerful Wanda really is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think this series just does an even better job of kind of letting you know what we're in for going forward with her, as far as what she can do, how she can manipulate things, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I liked it. I liked it for the most part. I think Antonio liked it too.
Yeah, I love the fact of taking everything that we have from the MCU and continuity and such like that, and characters that we know and that we love. If you're a comic book fan, and if you're not, you want to know, how did they get together? What happened? How does that work out? And throwing it into this sitcom realm, using a sitcom realm, first off, to do something that we're used to seeing, big fights and quips and what have you, and seeing these characters thrown into a sitcom realm. And at first you don't know if it's Wanda, if it's Mephisto, like a million people kept saying online. Oh my God. If I heard one more person say Mephisto, I was like, I am done with social media. I'm done with all of you. I can't stand you.
Yeah.
Doing that, but then putting it into the sitcom realm and still being able to tell the story and going through the 5 stages of grief. I do agree with that final fight, the witch part. I was like, yeah, it kind of felt like one of those 80s.
Yeah.
Kind of like laser fights. It did feel like that. Like I was almost like, if they pull out laser tag, I'm in. I'm so in. Oh my God. I remember that cartoon. I loved it. But all in all, I loved it because they took a chance and said, we're going to do something completely different.
Yeah.
Sitcom, MCU, these characters that we love, dealing with grief and giving us all these different sitcom variations throughout the decades. And Jessica Hahn was phenomenal. Absolutely. The whole cast was incredible, but Jessica Hahn can be sinister, sweet, funny, and dramatic, all in the same smile. She gives you just everything. So I was just really, but that ending fight, I was like, oh, all right. But then the glyph thing was kind of cool. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah. But that thing was, because they were just both flying around. Trying to play football tag. I didn't know what was happening.
I mean, you made me remember this other kind of item about this series, Antonio, how you don't know what's going on, right? So the whole feeling of, well, they're just withholding information. I don't know. I do not like that. I do not like, that you're not going to tell me until you feel like telling me. Like, I should find out what's an example of a good way to do that. Like horror films for the most part do that better. You think about, say, like Get Out, that's a mystery, and then the mystery is revealed at the right time. Like you're with the characters caught up, and then it's revealed. Whereas this just felt like the filmmakers were like, we're not going to tell you that she grew up watching sitcoms till episode 6 or something. And like, I don't know, that feels cheap. Why not? Why we gotta go backwards? And I understand that we were discovering her past because she was being forced to face it at that point. But I think that information could have been served to us in a way that didn't make us feel like we were just not being told things for the sake of the show. At least that's how I felt, which I don't enjoy, like just the withholding.
So you'd be a great interrogator. Okay, we've got that on point.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's not like I need to know spoilers. Like I'm good with just writing things out and not. It's not like I like to know how it's going to end. I just feel
you want the structure to be better.
Yeah. I feel like the narrative just played with us, and I think audiences have become much smarter, and will not tolerate that.
I think they did it that way so they could retcon her. Like they use that as a device almost to be able to retcon her as a mutant. Because we knew about this comms already, right? From Civil War? Or no, from no, not Civil War.
Did we?
Age of Ultron. She talked about sitcoms, and she talked about liking sitcoms.
Oh,
I want to
say. Okay.
But the way they went in depth for it, as Michael said, the world outside your door, outside your window. They literally looked out the window, and it was war. And that was their way of coping. And I feel like that was their way of really showing you, just in case you may have forgotten, because we have like 20 plus movies.
Yes.
That's a lot of information.
No, you're right.
That's a lot.
That was, lost on me then, really.
So they have to give you that little bit of, okay. And then for Agatha to be going through it with her, because we're seeing it through Agatha's eyes too, like, oh, so this is what happened. This is how you became and then for them to retcon that she's not a miracle, but a mutant. The men in the black suits are probably going to come find me now for saying that. I think that was their best way of doing it as far as that. So they used it as a device for it, but they also had to remind you, oh, remember, she does watch sitcoms.
Yeah.
Because again, over 10 plus years and over 20 plus movies, these details start getting foggy. Just like when you're reading a comic, you're like, did this happen in issue 7? I don't remember that happening.
Right.
So maybe, I don't, that's just my take on it, trying to be on the outside looking in.
That's valid. That's totally valid. Yeah. I get it. But I also feel like, notice our conversation has not brought in Monica Rambeau yet. So, what does that say? I think that she was not put in this story in a great way. That there was so much more that she probably could have done. And she's clearly teeing up for Captain Marvel too, right? So like that's where she's up to go to the end. So what happened? What happened with that?
For her, when she's introduced as Monica Rambeau, quote unquote, not as, what was the name she first used? Regina. When they're at the meeting, I think it was Regina, right? No, Geraldine.
Geraldine.
Yes. But when
we're in the WandaVision world.
Yes. Yeah. But when we actually see her as Monica Rambeau, and I've said this is the episode that was my favorite. 1, we focused on a black woman. 2, we find out what happens immediately when you're brought back from the blip.
Yeah.
5 years later, you have we don't know what they know or what they don't know or what happened to them. We still don't know. I'm hoping that we get something where we find out if there was another, if they were in the gym, we don't know. But she is thrown into the most chaotic place possible to be brought back in a hospital. She just finds out that her mother died how many years ago from cancer?
3. Yeah.
How many people are being brought back in that hospital as well? People who were already dying, people who were giving birth, babies who were just being born, people who were there's a lot going on, and they couldn't give her any answers. And then we have to go through her mental state of everything. Boom, this is what you have. It's like somebody hooks up a jack to your head and goes, this is what happened throughout the last 500 years, and you just throw, and you're like, oh my god. And then for her to be going through Sword and dealing with everything there. Tiana Paris, phenomenal job. Monica Rambeau is a character that I was most excited about with this series, and I feel like they did drop the ball with her, unfortunately. Love the character, love her interaction with Darcy and oh my god,
Jimmy, his character's name?
Jimmy Wong.
I know Jimmy. I forgot his last name.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's Jimmy. Jimmy. I think so.
I love their interaction. Give me another series. Give me those three doing whatever. They're just going out for like food. I don't care. Just sitting there having coffee. I'm totally cool with it. Yes, because their chemistry was so great together. But they did drop the ball with that, and too much with the barrier.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of it, like now I'm thinking about it, I can look and I go, okay, I like this, but I go, this could have been shortened. How she got her powers, really like that. But then when she was just used as fodder, like with the kids and the shooting, I don't think that was the best time to have someone shooting and having a black woman save them from the bullets. I don't really think that was the best thing to do. Looking back, I'm going to be honest with you. But all in all, Monica's here. I want Monica to have a proper place in the MCU, possibly, you know, have the team that she led, the Ultimates, at some down the line. I would be happy with that. But yeah, it could have been handled much better. She was almost like a device, almost like fodder.
Yeah, I almost feel like, too, that they didn't want to give away too much because probably the meat of her and what they want to do with her character is going to be in Captain Marvel too. Like there's that scene, and Antonio and I talked about it as soon as we saw it, where, you know, she's in like a war room for Sword, and someone mentions Carol, and she has this look of disdain on her face with them just mentioning, you know, Carol Danvers' name. So I was like, what's going on there? Like, what happened between these two? You know what I mean? And again, I agree with Antonio that there were certain things that probably could have been done a lot better for her introduction, but I also think there's a lot there that they didn't want to tell you because it's either upcoming or things like that. So
Oh no, that's fine. I'm fine with, you know, holding back, because obviously you're going to flesh her out more. But some of the things that they did, I think she's mad at Carol. This is just me. She's mad at Carol because she wasn't there when her mother died. She wasn't there because she was she called her Captain. What was it, Captain? What did Carol call Monica when she was a kid? Captain Trouble. Captain Trouble. You know, that was her. I still think they should have made them a couple. I'll be honest with you. They should have had them be a couple, because that was more than friendship. I want to say they were lovers, but you just couldn't tell. And that feeling of, you weren't there for my mother when she died. You were out in space saving. I think it's just not being mad that you were saving people out in space, but being mad because you weren't there for my mother, this person who loved you and who you loved so much. You know, I mean, that it could be something completely different. It could be the fact that she was mad because she didn't bring back her hair curler. I don't know. Whatever.
I always feel like they say that about Captain Marvel, like, frequently, like, oh, she was busy, like, she's in another world, she's out in outer space doing stuff, guys. Like, how many times are we going to use that? It's such a weird thing to say about this superhero. Like, she was making choices about what catastrophic event she needed to avail herself to. She needs a boss, I guess, a manager to kind of like direct her. Like, no, you have to go here now. Like, we'll put someone else on. I don't you feel like there could be maybe better management? I don't know. It's just that's me. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement that you know, Rambo and WandaVision was not given her proper due and just kind of wedged in ways that served just the others. This A story, but it's over now.
Pretty much. So let's move on to a project that is near and dear to your heart, Liza. And this is a show that also appears on Disney Plus. It's Marvel's Hero Project, which you were innately involved in. Can you tell us more about that and some of the process that went into kind of making a show like that?
Yeah, sure. So Marvel's Hero Project is actually Marvel's first documentary series ever. So it's a real life series, And the premise is that in each episode, we discover a real life young superhero. They're all children who is doing amazing work in their community that has tangible effects beyond their community, just making the world a better place. And Marvel comes in and celebrates them as the hero they already are. And we show them what a hero they are. By, among other things, we make a donation to a nonprofit that has their interests at heart. We give them their superhero jacket, and we also create them as a Marvel superhero in their own comic, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I worked with, I was developed and exec produced the show with another woman at Marvel. We worked closely together on it, and then we worked with this incredible production company to actually bring the show to life. And they were just amazing in finding these real life heroes and bringing their stories out in just such poignant ways. And the part that I found just fascinating for myself, selfishly, was that I got to make comic books as part of the show. I never made a comic before. Amazing. I did not draw anything, but I worked with the team who oversees the creatives, the writers, and the artists, and kind of stepped into a role along with a few other Marvel colleagues as editors of the comic books, made sure they were true to the kid's story, that the likenesses of these real life people were appearing in proper ways, everything from including a kid's dog as a cameo to making sure skin tone is correct for all the different heroes that we have in there. And what could be more rewarding than like having this kid open a box and see their faces when they see themselves in a Marvel comic book, flipping out. So that was just a big part of my life. We did 20 episodes, and they're all on Disney Plus. They're half hours. And as a parent, there isn't too much that a family can really agree on to watch together, other than like some blockbustery kind of movies, some comedies, and then some like old school sitcoms that we show the kids that we find value in, like Parks and Rec, or so to be able to co-watch is really a special treat, I think, for families, and it's a real shared experience for us. I showed my kids the episodes, and I love watching them watch the episodes, because they see another 10-year-old, another 12-year-old, like doing this thing, being just a regular kid, but being driven by a passion to and some examples of what they did. So this one young woman who actually lives in Queens, where I'm from and live, she works with Alzheimer's patients in creating like puzzles and bringing other young people in to do puzzles with Alzheimer's patients and kind of create this connection and this community of support there. And also, just kind of intergenerational work, which is really awesome. We have this young man in Puerto Rico who basically worked to get solar powered equipment to the island and physically distribute it to residents who had lost power. And he's definitely a local hero there. We have a young woman who is all about animal sanctuaries and finding places for those sentient beings to have proper homes and be cared for. I mean, the list goes out. There's 20 unique heroes, each one doing something truly astounding to an extent that is just so inspiring. Also, kind of, you look at your life and you're like, yeah, I'm not a good person,
Yeah.
Get on that.
Right.
So it's wonderful, and it was so wonderful also to meet them in real life, and to just honor their work in that way, and to watch them inspire other people that I hear who are watching the show. So thank you for letting me talk about it.
No, absolutely.
Such an enjoyable experience to me.
Absolutely. It's one of the better shows on Disney Plus. It's a gem, and I know that I know that there's a lot of content on Disney Plus. Lord knows there's a lot of content on Disney Plus, but Marvel's Hero Project is one of the many things that should be watched and rewatched because it's a really good show. It's really good. So
it's I haven't caught all of them, but the one that hit me the most is about Rebecca, Mighty Rebecca, and being 11, I think 11.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Yeah, and transitioning.
Yeah.
And so I'm a very staunch advocate and defender of LGBTQ plus community, and seeing someone so young and the parents being so supportive and going through, and all of them learning at the same time about what the T stands for, and being able to speak at rallies, to be so young and speaking at a rally as if everyone is her peer, even though they're different age group, but peers. And just that, the strength in that, and that episode hit because let's be honest, you can just go onto Disney Plus and just watch superhero stuff. You don't have to watch. You can watch superhero stuff. You can watch Mighty Ducks, the animated and the movies. You can watch this. You can watch that. You know what I mean? So, and Disney could have just went ahead and just did that stuff, but to bring about these kids who are making blessing bags for homeless, who there's a young girl who has for better lack of a term, a cybernetic arm that like does like airbrushing, to a young blind boy who's playing football, and then to have his favorite football player come there, and and to have it be in Braille, to have that. Didn't have to be a project that had to be, but shows again, not just providing a diverse content, but also having teaching moments, learning, and hopefully maybe a child will see this and they'll either want to do something in their community, or maybe they'll want to make a comic and show representation for people that you don't see. So this series hits a lot of points, and to even have a young transgender child is impactful. And hit me, and I was sitting there, I didn't know what the episode was about, because I tried not to read the descriptions. I just wanted to just dive into it. Okay, just hit me in the face with what it is. And talked about it, and I was sitting there and I was like, okay, all right, bet. Okay, yeah. And I love it. And I love the Alzheimer one hit me as well. Haley. Haley. And her grandmother, and playing the piano. And the line that hit me was, why is he so happy? I'm like, well, because he just married you. And not to remember that. There are a lot of moments. And again, I said I haven't even watched all the episodes, but to be able to pick up on that much in those, I'm like, all right, all right, yeah. So it was an amazing project. Congratulations on it. Thank you. Phenomenal, excellent work from you, for everyone involved, and to the children who became Marvel heroes.
They deserve it all, and the legacy continues, because a couple of them are getting drawn into issues that are coming out this year. Actually, there's Black Panther issue now that Elijah's in, and his mom,
awesome,
in, which is pretty dope. And then we had two Haleys this season. Another Haley and her sister, I think, are making an appearance in an upcoming book later this year, because they were like huge Marvel fans, and like we just wanted to. We had room, which and just working. I come from TV, come from production. I got to work with the publishing group, with the comics group, the editors, and that was just such a special experience for me. And I learned so much, and just to see how the care that goes into bringing real life into a fictional story on the page. It's an amazing craft, and it's something that's I hope never dies. Just the integration of words and art, and I love holding the books, like having them tangible is such a special thing, that I hope we can keep making those kinds of dreams come true. I don't know. We don't have a second season at the moment, but I'm staying hopeful that, because there are more stories to tell for sure.
Nice.
And you could read the comics too. Like those are available like free on Marvel.com. And also a word about like the Adonis, who is the blind running back.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
We made his comic book in Braille. We made it in both, but obviously, and that was an incredible experience because we were writing the description of the artwork, and you want to write it in a dynamic way so it like leaps off the page for you as you're reading, like what the image, the description of the image. You're not just how you read the captions and it's very platonic. You needed to like make people excited, in Braille, and so that was totally new for Marvel. They had never done that before, so they were really excited to got to create a Braille comic book, and then that led us to saying, well, we're putting all these comics online for people to read as well, like audiences and all that. But how are we making it accessible for people who are blind? Like we could just put their reading tools, but I'm like, let's kind of animate them. Let's make them audio versions of these with like properly written as a little mini compliment to it. So getting to do that, like Marvel saying yes to that and figuring it out with all the technical people who had to make that happen, something I'd never done before. It's just so much innovation came out of this series because of the excitement that it just brought out in everyone to tell these stories. I think it just ignited the will to want to do the best job we could.
Right.
And I think that shows. So I'm very, very proud of the people who work so hard on it.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we're glad it's out there for people to enjoy.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that, you had an opportunity to work on it. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
So before we let you go, because we've had you on for a while now, and I'm sure, you have life things to
unfortunately
to go on.
Because I would love to just do this.
Being that you work for Marvel and you know of its rich history, or at least some of it anyway, is there anything that you've come across or that you've read in your own personal time that you would like to see created into maybe a Disney Plus series or a movie or a one shot or something that you might have an opportunity to work on at some point?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, yeah. I'd love to work on any of it, like in a filmmaking capacity for sure. Great question. Honestly, the first character who pops into my mind is Ghost Spider. I know she's appeared in Marvel Rising, and she's in Miles Morales' Spider-Verse, and she's in there, but I think she has a pretty rich history and a lot of backstory, given who her father is and how she's basically a vigilante, and she plays drums, right? So there's I love to see, I guess more in that young adult space, right? But not make it siloed, not make it like this is a young adult story. Like, a story for everyone that just features a younger character. She really fascinates me. And then they're already doing an animated series, but Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is just a fun, like, that is a great story.
Thank you.
Thank you. To see. But a live action would be pretty dope. Like, I'd love to see that live action.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I actually was talking about that a long time ago. I think I texted Antonio out of the blue one day about that. I was like, a Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur show on Disney Plus would absolutely kill. Would absolutely
Yeah.
kill.
But I guess it's going to the Disney Channel, right? I think they're gonna have it, that animated one.
Probably, yeah.
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 Okay.
That would be incredible because she's the smartest person in the Marvel comic book universe, and she rides a dinosaur. I mean, how is not? That's like that's not even gold. That's like vibranium on so many levels of cool.
Exactly.
Like, how do you like? And I read some of the first trade because of the character and because of Amy Reeder working on it, who I'm a huge fan of. And I was like, this is awesome. And like just the interaction and just the story. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That's like, yeah, Iron Man is cool. Yeah, all right, cool. She's really smart and she has a dinosaur as a partner. I know you have a Hall of Armor, but she's got a dinosaur. I know you talk about having a Hulk, but she's got a dinosaur. Dude, how is she has a I don't know. That's like my only answer I can give you. She has a dinosaur. I don't know what to tell you.
End of story.
Yeah, like
exactly.
That would be just. I would like lose. I would be the first person in the theater to watch that. After everything is cool and everything's situated and life is good.
No,
But
Black Widow comes out on my birthday, and I'm like, I don't know though if I can go to a theater by then. I don't know. I don't think so.
I might be doing that for the premium. I'm not sure yet. Depends. I don't know, but yeah. I wanted that movie about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But don't know the timing of it. Don't know how they're going to interact. How they're going to weave it into the timeline now. Don't know how. So I'm open. Because I want to see about the Ledger and the Red. That's been my biggest thing. I want to see the Ledger and the Red. I mean, they hinted on it a little bit with Barnes, Winter Soldier, as far as his Ledger. But I want to know about the Ledger and the Red, and I want to know about Budapest. I want to know what happened to Budapest with her and Barton. Like, why was what kind of like swinging party shindig babble was going on that day where like they have to talk about it? Like, well, we don't remember it the same way. But yes, a huge red dinosaur and a genius little black girl. Yeah, sign me up for that. I'm totally
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Liza. Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Thank you for inviting me. I had so much fun talking about it. It made me think a lot too, a lot more about some things that bubble up while you watch the show. But getting to talk to you, brainy people, who are very smart and know all the things.
Definitely. We need to have you back on at some point, maybe when we do a Star Wars show, because I know you love Star Wars.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do.
Definitely.
Yes, we do have to have a Star Wars discussion.
For sure.
I'm very confused by the casting of Hayden Christensen in the Obi-Wan series. I don't know what to make of it, but I'm willing to like get in there and find out.
Yeah.
I hope we can talk about the original Christmas special.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
Let's just run it into the ground, folks. Let's do all the things. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any last words you'd like to add?
Just that everyone should keep listening to you guys because you are just a joy to chat with, and I got so much out of it. Like I need to go kind of read some things that Antonio that you brought up, so I can like kind of unpack some of what I don't know, since my knowledge, my fandom knowledge does not run as deep as yours does, but I love like after the fact watching the episode, then going to read the book, and you're like, look at that.
Yeah, because you always find little, that's what that brooch was. That's what the like little Easter eggs that are meant for fans, but you don't need to know it to know the story. Yeah. So it's not like it's like gatekeeping for anyone who doesn't know. It's like, oh, you don't know what that is? Whatever. That scoffing thing. It's always fun to go back and rewatch and go, oh, I didn't know that's what that was, and this and what have you. There's a million Looper videos about everything. So I mean, they tell you.
Sure. Yep.
Hey, did you see how he was writing with his right hand and the curl behind his ear? Well, that was because his father. And you like, Are you serious?
Yeah.
How do you get up in the morning? That's so much details. Wow. Jesus Christ. The hell, man.
Exactly.
Thank you, Michael, for inviting me. This was so fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of us.
Anytime.
Yes.
So much appreciated. Thank you so very much for gracing our screens. It was awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Antonio, is there anything you have left to take us out?
Ugh, the pressure. Oh. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Drink
That's
water.
important.
Take your vitamins.
That's important.
Shower.
Oh yeah. Please.
Vigorously.
Yeah.
It's getting hot out there, so I mean, well, it's not today, but it's gonna start getting hot out. So definitely, please take a shower and use lotion on your knees, fellas, and elbows. Shorts are coming out, and knees are gonna be bare. Come on, guys, seriously.
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve of mine. Sorry, I've totally spaced out for a minute there. I really did.
No, this is important.
I was totally thinking about sitting on the subway and people's knees are just ashy for no damn reason at all in June.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, my send off will be COVID is still a thing, so let's still continue to be vigilant while that is going on. Get your shots. Don't be afraid to get your shots. Try to be above the misinformation about shots if you can.
Ask questions. There are a lot of medical professionals. I have medical professionals that I know personally that are in my family, and I've talked to them. So I'm not going in there going, so it's a chip, right? It's like you're going to get the legacy virus, and they're going to give you that.
Serum.
Is it going to mess with my cell phone when I put it up to my ear? It's not a thing. It's not. None of that is a thing. Stop.
Yeah. And as I say week to week on the show, continue to be good to each other. I know that that's hard in this environment where, people's rights are being violated, people are being killed for no reason. But please continue to be good to each other. And with that,
one more thing.
yes, sir.
Adam Toledo.
Yep. Yeah. Why we must continue to be good to each other.
Yes, and to teach our children, especially white parents, to their children, to talk to them about it and demonstrate the right things to do.
Yeah. So with that, thank you again, everyone, for who attended and watching the show or going to watch the show at some point down the road. That is another edition of Fandom Initiative. By all means, go back and watch our previous shows on our YouTube channel. Also, on any podcast platform that is out there, we are on. Feel free to download our episodes, listen to them. Also, like, share, and subscribe. Rate, review. We'd really appreciate it. Let us know if we're doing a good job. Let us know what you'd like to see, what you want us to do, possibly, and some other things. So with that, we thank you all for listening and watching. And again, thank you again, Liza, for being on our episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem.